Welcome back, guys. Today's story takes place in Pwllheli, North Wales. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. The 8th of February 1985, and the time was 3 a.m. There was a David Thomas, who was 19 at the time, was walking back from a night out. A 4.5 mile journey back to his village where he lived. It was on a cold night. He started to hear humming noises, the type of noise an electric generator would make. He made his way across the field, and as he did, the noise increased in volume. David Thomas then goes on to say, "Something seemed obscured. I looked intensely and saw a large, dull, black thing hovering about 2.5 feet above the ground, 25 foot across, 20 foot high. I could see what looked like an antenna or stabilizers sticking out of it. There was like a drawbridge, like hatchway, and a window at the top. I didn't see any lights, but the object showed a dull, almost muted fluorescent glow." He looked to the side and astonished to see a group of small humanoid-shaped beings making their way across the field towards him. His first instinct was to run. As he turned round, he was confronted by one of the strange humanoid-shaped objects blocking his escape route. He was frozen in fear, and the next thing that he knew, grip was on his arm and he was being propelled forwards towards the object. Dave goes on to say, "They spoke to me, but not like a person speaking. It was like they were talking to me through their head. They were saying, 'You're all right. You are okay.'" David could feel that his feet was not on the ground. He was not sure how he entered the object, but the next thing he became aware that he was finding himself in a large bare room on his own. They were all wearing octagonal helmets, featureless, apart from 2 dim lights positioned where their eyes should be. 3 or 4 TV screens. They were positioned on the wall. David believed the humanoids were able to communicate with him telepathically, informed him that he was going to go through a decontamination process, and they were going to prepare him for a time change. He was then aware of a craft taking off, although there was no sense of motion. David then goes on to say, "I sat there, watching the big screens. They were showing planets passing by, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto." He was then taken for a medical examination aboard a larger craft. David then says a probe was used on him, which created some type of burn mark on his body. "They checked me all over and seemed to ponder over my downstairs area. I don't know whether they were trying to work out whether I was male or female. Probes were placed on my head, chest, around the neck, and I was aware that my heart rate was increasing and then decreasing as if it was being controlled, like on command from his abductors." David says that he was asked telepathically if they could have permission to remove his eyes for further examination. He refused. David had a music tape cassette removed from his pocket. The aliens told him telepathically they originated from a planet beyond the celestial of Lyra. They breathed pure oxygen and disliked the atmosphere of Earth. They also said they had a temporary base in Greenland. Further conversation took place in which the aliens admitted they had captured the Voyager spacecraft for analysis, which they declared being very primitive. At some point, he was taken from the larger craft back onto the smaller one, and then he was aware of finding himself back on the lonely field in North Wales where he was abducted from. David experienced a feeling dizziness and was sighted in this condition on the road by passing police. The officer stopped the vehicle and asked David if he had been drinking or taking any other substances. After they asserted that this was not the case, the officer took David home. Following his return, David was suffering from a delayed reaction. The incident was investigated by Margaret Fry of Contract UK International. David informed them that the aliens would return to Earth at a future date and seek him out once again.